Alright, this is Cables, issue number -1. The -1 thing, that was something Marvel did in 1997. There were like flashbacks to the characters before their first issue. This is probably the best one. This is also kind of the start of the Joe Kelly and José Ladrönn run, which is a great run on Cables. And this one, it shows us an important part of Cables' originy, when he came back in time from the future, like in that film, Back from the Future. My first criticism though is that this is 1997 and we didn't have one of them fully out recap pages that I fucking love. If I remember, most of the -1 issues, they all had them. So where is my fully out recap page, Marvel? We have got a cameo appearance from Stanley Lee. I think all the flashback -1 issues, they open with him doing one of his cameo appearances. He is dressed as Cables here. And the artist for this, José Ladrönn, he is blatantly heavily inspired by Jack Quimby. And that's not a bad thing. Something else that isn't bad is that this issue is not only giving us a glimpse into Cables' backstory, but we see a little bit of Wolf's Girl as well. This is her when she was like a little ex-baby. And this is boring Myra McDonald. I didn't know which of her crazy 13 lives this was. But yeah, if like you look at boring Myra's face, you can definitely see the Jack Quimby influence. It becomes a lot more prominent both as this run goes on and even as this issue continues. And surprisingly, it works really well. You wouldn't think of Cables as a character or a book who really suits the Jack Quimby look, but it really does. Myra McDonald and ex-baby Wolf's Girl, they have been called to check out some weird shenanigans that is going on in Scotland. A mysterious stranger has appeared out of nowhere. It is Cables. He has done some time travelling. And what is also happening is the Reverend Father Bishop, the one who abused Wolf's Girl when she was little, he is there and he is trying to convince the masses that this visitor is actually an evil demon from hell who has been sent to bring about the rapture and stuff like that. And here is a splash page of Cables, and he bloody well needs a haircut, doesn't he? And I really like that this is tying it in with some of Wolf's Girl's originy. Myra McDonald, she tries to help Cables despite the Reverend Father Bishop trying to incite mob violence against them. And then Cables uses his telepathic powers to turn the crowd away and make them all forget about him. We see that on the next page with the Reverend Father Bishop. He just sees Cables as like a normal bloke now. Well, a normal bloke who wears a fucking bow tie, and he leaves them alone. And then boring Myra, she takes Cables to a research lab to try and help him. And Cables, he hasn't said anything yet, but boring Myra, she ponders what is going on inside Cables' mind. And this is what's going on. Flashbacks to him fighting in his war-torn future. And also an advert for Operation No Tall Pants. There's Cables there in the advert. This is actually good though, because I have got some admin today related to this crossover. I have come to the conclusion that I do have to count appearances of Bastard as Nimrod appearances, because there is a story, a Cable story actually, where Bastard, he transforms back into Nimrod, which also means I now have to track down about 20 comics that I didn't have, and some utter shite by Martin Quaid. Here, this is again like absolute Jack Quimby stuff. This is like 70s era Jack Quimby at DC. This is just like that. It's really great. José Ladrönn, weirdly, he didn't have much work at the big two. This run on Cables was like his main thing. He also did a Fantastic Force annual and a backup story in a 4 annual and some covers, and that's about it. I've been thinking lately though about Cables and how much of a rich character he actually is. I think of all the Excellent Men, Cables, he is the standout solo star. He is the one who I think has enough in him to deserve a title. Even more so than Wolfman. I think Cables is just a fantastic character with loads of different facets and different mythology and potential directions and stories. And I think that is very evident in that his various solo series, they're always at the very least interesting, if not great. There's been very few bad runs on Cables, and there has been some properly excellent ones. Like there's this run, there's Fabio Nicieza, there's Master Ladrönn, there's the Messiah Complex one, there's Fabio Nicieza again. Even those more recent runs, they were meant to be good too. But Marvel, they killed Cables off and replaced them with a hip young version, and that really annoys us. It annoys us more than you think it would. Like if I made a list of the 10 things about Marvel that make me angry the most, you'd be surprised that that Cables thing would probably be like number 3 or number 4. Here, boring Myra, she is doing some tests on Cables. And then we've got a kaboom, an explosion, cause Cables, he is really powerful. And he saves boring Myra, but it doesn't really matter because even if he hadn't, she would just start another wonderful, whimsical life cycle. Then they do like a mind meld thingy, so Myra, she can understand who Cables is a bit better. And this whole issue is yet another fine example of how much fuckery Jonathan Huckleberry has done to the Excellent Men. It wasn't enough that he had to break them in the present by making them all into plant zombies. He had to go back and ruin them retroactively. Boring Myra, her appearance here, pretty much all of her ad appearances, they've been made into like mockeries. There's some nice emotional bits here with like Cables comforting her about the death of her son, and this is all meaningless now. Boring Myra McDonald, she's actually like a master planner on her 9th life cycle who has no attachments or emotional connection to people in her lives or whatever. And our ending is cheesing Armageddon. He has awoken from his 1,000 years sleep. He woke up when Cables arrived, and there's a really clever ending point about how since Armageddon he has woken up because Cables showed up. Well, Cables, he was technically the Devil's Herald, just like the Reverend Father Bishop said. And there's Stanley Lee again. He's putting on a tie. Hustle Buffkatine said he misses letters columns, so here is a double-page letters column. People like Cables. Cables, he gets a lot of flack for being from the 90s and pouches and that, but that's a very small-minded way of seeing the character. He has got loads of mileage, he has got loads of fans, he has loads of great stories. This is maybe one of them. It is a great issue. This is a fantastic sampler or introduction to Cables, and it's the beginning of one of the best runs on the character. I would say there is a slight lack of conflict. Once the Reverend Father Bishop is sent away, the story kind of loses the conflict. But that isn't something that makes it a bad comic, just a bit narratively weaker. I definitely recommend this though. I will probably look at some more of this run. It's great. I rate this issue 7 thumbs up.